Today to talk to you about Moximed. We're a commercial stage orthopedic company that has launched a first-in-class device for the millions of patients suffering from knee osteoarthritis. I joined the company about a year ago as CFO at what I think is our most exciting stage in development, which is our transition to a full-scale commercial entity. Prior to that, I was Chief Business Officer at a urology company called Palette Life Sciences up until our acquisition by Teleflex. So some of the key highlights of our company that we'll cover today are the fact that, one, we're addressing a massive market opportunity. We estimate over 4 million patients eligible for our product. We have a first-in-class implantable shock absorber. We have outstanding long-term clinical data, which is relatively differentiating in a space that is often characterized by 510Ks and non-inferiority studies. We've made strong reimbursement progress through receiving a new C code from CMS at the end of 2024. We believe we've established commercial proof of concept with an attractive ASP and an algorithm for future rep onboarding. We've scaled our sales team at the end of 2024 to 11 reps. We have a proven management team with experience launching disruptive devices, and we're backed by top-tier investors. Recently, we closed a Series D at the end of 2024 for around $70 million. We're really proud of the team that we have here at Moximed, starting with our medical advisors. We have physicians who provide thought leadership as well as utilization from top-tier institutions like HSS, OHSU, OSU, Stanford, and UVA. Our management team is also very experienced launching disruptive devices. Notably, in the middle of last year, we had a new CEO join us, Chris Gleason. Chris was the VP of Sales at Relievant, which was a spine company that was sold to Boston Scientific for a little over $1 billion. And we have folks from other notable companies in similar categories that have launched disruptive devices, companies like Neotract and Acclarent. We also have an outstanding investor syndicate. Our Series D was led by Elevage Medical Technologies and had participation from a new investor, Cormorant Asset Management. And you can see the other blue chip names on the slide that continue to support us, groups like NEA, Gilda, Advent, and Vertex. Finally, we're an ExploreMed company, and we're proud to have Josh Mackauer as our chairman, as well as Dave Amerson on our board. Dave was CEO of Neotract. So knee OA is a painful progressive disease, and it's exacerbated by walking, exercising, really any daily life activity. It shouldn't be surprising, but pain is most intense when folks are weight-bearing. And that's because when you're weight-bearing, the actual forces through the knee are about 3 to 5 times your body weight. This all sounds obvious, but it's exactly what we look to exploit with our product, Misha. In launching Misha, we found a way to minimize the load that is going through the knee when a patient is weight-bearing. Just a bit on the knee OA market and treatment continuum. This is a massive market. Patients usually start out with HA or steroid injections or physical therapy, but they pretty quickly become refractory to those options. And then they sit in this middle period where there are no viable treatment options for a long period of time. And on the end of that extreme, they have joint replacement or total knee arthroplasty or a uni knee arthroplasty. That market is about 1 million plus procedures a year, over $5 billion, been around for a really long time in a pretty crowded space. The market that we're looking to address is this mild to moderate patient segment in the middle that have no effective treatment options today. And just to put that market size in perspective, we estimate over 4 million patients are addressable with our technology. Capturing just a sliver of that market at our ASP of over $13,000 can yield a really meaningful market opportunity. So a logical question is, why do patients wait for 13 years on average before they move to an advanced treatment like a knee arthroplasty? Well, that's because they're forced to make a tough decision. On one hand, they have to either give up activities that they love until they're at a level of pain they can tolerate, or on the other hand, they have to subscribe to an irreversible joint replacement surgery. Additionally, if they're mild to moderate, they have a 3 to 4 times higher risk of failure. So if they're not a suitable patient, then they shouldn't be getting an arthroplasty early in their life. So we address this with our product, Misha. Misha is an implantable shock absorber. It goes on the medial side of the knee, goes under the skin, but outside the joint capsule. There's no bone cutting or ligament harvesting. It takes about 30 pounds of weight off the medial compartment of the knee. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if you remember that forces are multiplied on the joints, that drives a significant reduction in pain and increase in function for our patients. And notably, we keep future treatment options open. We preserve the entire native anatomy. Just some patient anecdotes here. Miranda and Zach were really young patients who were in our clinical trial, and I think good examples of the type of activity and durability that our device can enable. They've both now had the product in for over 7 years. Carla is a more traditional knee OA patient. She was about 58 when she received our product. She didn't want to give up hiking. This is actually a real photo of her hiking several months after receiving Misha, and she continues to derive substantial benefit. The top of this slide shows our product and its footprint, including the disposable instrumentation. Whatever is not implanted as a patient is discarded, so there's no trays or need to re-sterilize, and it's very ideal for the ASC setting. Additionally, we've designed our procedural steps to map to existing familiar steps for orthopedic surgeons. We have an exposure phase, a targeting phase, a trialing phase, finally securing, and then closure. Typical patient journey after they receive Misha, they can weight bear as tolerated the day of the procedure, and we want them getting flexion as soon as possible. They're typically back to full weight bearing within 2 weeks, and within a few weeks after that, they're starting leg strengthening and core strengthening exercises. And then at 2 years, our data drives a significant pain reduction of 75% and a similar increase in function. This slide is mechanistically showing what's going on in the knee. It's not a patient selection tool, but if you look at the left, this is SPECT CT. It shows areas of high metabolic activity. You can see this patient pre-op has a hot spot, which is in the subchondral bone on the medial side. If you ask them where their knee hurts, that's where they'd point. The same patient on the right, 10 months post-op, and you can see the hot spot has resolved. And this is what correlates to the patient-reported pain relief outcomes that we've seen. Our pivotal study was designed to support a PMA pathway. That was the expectation from FDA. It was after the data readout that we were able to convince them to enable a de novo pathway. We had 81 patients treated in a Misha arm compared to 81 patients in a high tubular osteotomy arm as a surgical control, which was FDA's choice for surgical control. Our primary endpoint was a 5-point composite endpoint. A patient had to hit all 5 to be considered a success, and 83.5% of our patients achieved that. Some notable secondary endpoints that we achieved: average time to full weight bearing was 13 days. Pain relief at 2 years from baseline was a 76% reduction, and a similar increase in function gain. This is a curve of our WOMAC pain and function now out through 4 years, and what you can see is sustained pain relief and function increase. We'll be actually cutting this data for 5 years in the next few weeks and publishing it this year. We're committed to generating high-quality clinical data moving forward, both for adoption as well as reimbursement initiatives. We made a decision to run a randomized controlled trial this year. It'll be 100 patients, 2-to-1 randomization. 2 out of every 1 get Misha, 2 out of every 3 get Misha, 1 out of every 3 get standard of care conservative management, so they can have as much as an injection of HA or steroids or as little as PT. At 6 months, if they fail that conservative treatment, they can cross over to the Misha arm. And this will be important for us as we move to pursue a Category 1 code and ultimately seek to onboard as many covered lives as possible. We mentioned that we obtained a C code from CMS at the end of 24. This code went live on January 1st. This is one of just 3 codes that were granted to ortho products through this avenue in the last 2 years. And it was notably granted at the highest APC tier, which is payment level 6. What this means is that we're covered by Medicare in the hospital outpatient setting at over $18,000 and in the ASC setting at over $13,000, and is a strong bridge and reference price for us as we look to file our Cat 1 code. So in summary, Moximed is addressing a massive market opportunity with significant unmet need. We have an outstanding management team of advisors and investors, a revolutionary first-in-class device, and attractive unit economics that we think create a compelling pathway to both high gross margins as well as high operating margins. Thanks for your time.